This is a response to Billy's Talking Points memo from Monday, November 17, 2014. ISIS kills another American. Now, I concur with you, Billy, 100%. It is very regrettable that this is going on in the Middle East right now. The term savages, yes, is very appropriate. Now, the next point that you get into is where I have to have my policy differences with you. And that is, you bring up something that's already being done and acting as if it isn't being done. So you say, oh, President Obama needs to get off his high horse, you know, because he's really disengaged. He's not a very powerful president. He's weak, disengaged, as I said. So you say he's got to get off his high horse. He's got to do something about ISIS. And you bring up by air, by land, by sea. We need to find them wherever they are, in whatever country they are. We need to eliminate them. Now, let's go back 6 or 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 14 weeks. I don't know how long ago it was. Obama said, hey, Barry said, hey, we're going after them. But we're not going to win this war solely in the air. We need our partners on the ground. There's already a civil war in Syria, very complicated. The Russians are helping out the Syrians. Very complicated, the war with ISIL. Did I say? You got to do it. It's ISIL, not ISIS. But very complicated war. Remember a couple weeks ago, Billy, when you were complaining about how the Turks were sitting on the sidelines when this town in Syria was getting shelled, and they were all Arabs? No, they weren't all Arabs. That town was Kurds. And there's lots of Kurds in Turkey who would prefer to be independent. There's lots of Kurds in Syria that would like to be independent. There's lots of Kurds in Iran and Iraq that would like to be independent. So that's one of the things. Then ISIL, again, is 100% Sunni. And right now, we're hoping to gear up the forces of the Iraqi army, which is pretty much 100% Shiite. So very, very, very big differences, but let's get back to the main point. What isn't Obama doing now that you say that he isn't doing? He's bombing the crap out of them. We're sending more men over there. We're trying to work with some pretty poor partners to nudge them along, to get them to do the types of things that we would like them to do. We're doing as best we can for counterintelligence. Did you read the report? Was it the Washington Post, New York Times? I can't remember what it was just last week, just basically saying that ISIL is pretty smart. They've already figured out they're not using any satellite phones, they're not using cell phones, they're not using text messages, they have their own closed-in looped text messages system or whatever. So it's very hard to penetrate and to infiltrate. And without boots on the ground, without some type of active intelligence, how do you figure out how it is that they're doing these types of things so that you can counteract it? And, you know, just by the fact that they mentioned that, and the fact that someone in the military told someone at the Post or the Times means that they're actively pursuing that and trying to get into it, or they've actually gotten it. But what isn't Obama doing? Remember when the whole thing started 3 months ago or whatever, and every single day they would talk about how many sorties there had been or how many fights there had been and all that other kind of stuff? Well, ISIL has, again, they've adapted their tactics. What have they done? Well, instead of going around with their little anti-aircraft guns, you know, on fixed trucks, they're not doing that anymore. They're not doing these big convoys. They're laying low. Their people are hard to find. So they know that they're being watched from the sky. They know that they're going to get bombed to smithereens if anyone finds out who they are. So they're laying low. They're doing all these tactics to stay away from what's going on. And again, what isn't Obama doing now that you think he should be doing? You say to bomb him, we're bombing him. We're actively in the skies looking for him. They've changed their tactics strategically on the ground. They've changed their means of electronic communication. We're actively pursuing that. Yes, and of course, they're hid out in plenty of cities and plenty of towns. They have all kinds of money. They have backers in Oman and Saudi Arabia and places like that. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. Remember, Saudi Arabia is Sunni. So they are getting backed by a lot of places. And again, like I said, you got a civil war in Syria. So there's a lot going on. And Obama and the United States government, the United States military is doing everything that they possibly can to wipe them out. Now, what would be a nice thing? A nice thing would be to Congress to sort of fork up that couple $1 billion to start saying, we're back, we're behind you, Barry, 100%. No, they'll do that in an omnibus bill, so, you know, it's going to take another couple months. Oh, of course, but there might be a shutdown because they just don't like the fact that he might do immigration. Okay, so let's go back to the next point. Then you bring up two other points. And basically, again, your whole premise is you're trying to say that Obama is weak. He's weak, he's weak, he's weak. Okay, so we go to Iran. Okay, so the decision, negotiations or something's got to come up by the end of next week. Excuse me, the beginning of next week in terms of Iran and their nuclear capabilities, what they're willing to give up, what we will accept them giving up, what type of deal can be struck, you know, how much can we let go, they let go, blah, blah, blah. How can they save face? How can we save face? Iran's going to do what Iran's going to do. So whether they take the deal or not really isn't because of the American pressures, because they're going to do what they're going to do, even if there are more sanctions, because all of the mullahs and all the people that are in the power, they're going to keep getting their money. They're going to just stoke it from the other people. They're just going to stoke it from the average person in Iran. Now remember, the price of oil is going way down. That's hurting Iran. Okay. The second thing is, what was the other thing? You know, the sanctions have hurt Iran. The sanctions have hurt them a lot. They want Western technology. They need Western technology. They're not getting the type of technology that they need. All right, so they're hurting in a number of ways. Whether they want to make a deal, I really don't know. We're putting some full-fledged pressure on them. Europeans are helping out a little bit. Okay, remember, it's not a matter of Obama's leadership, because they're going to do what they're going to do now, and they're willing to accept their people being hurt and them not giving up any of their comforts, so that they can maintain that attitude that this is what they want to do. And remember, 3 or 4 years ago, when you had everyone had their tizzy about Israel's got to go in there and bomb them within 6 months. That Obama's got to give Israel the okay to do it because, you know, blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't make any difference. We'll make all the arrangements so that they can fly over Saudi Arabia to go into Iran, blah, blah. Okay, you know, that never happened. Of course, now, you know, 3 years later, I bet after next week they're going to bring that kind of crap up again. Oh, they're going to have a bomb in 6 months. So, but again, you know, maybe your audience doesn't remember. I remember. It's a failed thing. So, you know, there's no crisis in leadership. We're sticking it to them. We're sticking it to them good. They're hurting, and they know it. No crisis in leadership there, Billy. Just like there's no crisis in leadership in our effort to destroy ISIL. Now, when it comes to Putin, again, another player, delusions of grandeur. Narcissist, you know, whatever you want to call him. I don't care what you want to call him. He's going to do what he's going to do because he has his stature. Whatever it is that makes him tick is what makes him tick. And he's not going to deviate from that until he's really, really hurting. Now again, Russia hurting. Price of gas way down. It's hurting them. It's hurting their economies. They're, again, the sanctions that we have imposed on Russia are hurting them. Okay, they're trying to expand out to try and make sure that they're relevant, but it's only making what's going on in the interior of the country even worse. Now, he's a strong man, so it's going to be hard for it to topple him. Price of oil gets down too much further, too much longer, that could be hurting. Again, as I've mentioned before, he will do his external things to promote the idea that he's a very powerful person and that Russia is a very powerful country to the detriment of the individuals within the country. So he will continue to do that stuff in Ukraine. He will continue to push for that stuff in Ukraine. Sanctions will get worse. You know, again, at some point in time they'll leave because it's just not, they just don't have the money to keep staying around in there and doing that. But again, that might take a long time. But again, where is the crisis of leadership? You know, should we impose more sanctions? Yeah, maybe we should pretty soon. They're already hurting him. He's already hurting internally. The price of gas is killing him. So can the other things be done? Yes, they can be done. But again, Billy, every single thing in your talking points today was nothing new. It was nothing different. And all you wanted to do was to indicate that Obama is weak, he's feckless, I can't even remember the term that you used. He's befuddled. You know, no, he's on target. He's ready. He's there to help the American people. And just jerks like you who just sit out there and bloviate about stuff that we already know about isn't helping any way, shape, or form.